The last human squad standing against an alien invasion. The sky above the ruined city was a color no one had a name for. A sick green mixed with ash. Smoke rose in thin curtains from broken towers. And the wind carried a metal smell that made the men and women of the squad pull their scarves higher. They moved in a line through empty streets. Footsteps soft, weapons ready, eyes sharp. Each of them had a story. Each had a fear. But none spoke those things aloud. At the front walked Captain Rizwan, a tall man with a hard face and softer eyes. He kept his helmet off so his team could see his face in the dark. And his calm made them feel steadier. Behind him was Leena, the squad medic, always checking everyone without being asked. Her hands steady, though her heart raced. There was Javed, the tech who could turn broken radios into voices, his fingers stained with grease and hope, and young Samir, who had joined the squad because he could not stand alone waiting to die. He held his rifle like it was a promise. They had one goal: find the last safe shelter and hold it until others could come. The world had changed 3 nights before, when the sky had split and machines had fallen from above. Machines that walked and thought like hunters. Cities had fallen fast. People had crowded into old underground bunkers or tried to run away on dusty roads. Now the squad moved through the bones of a city that once sang with life as they crept toward the old library. Rizwan signaled for silence with one finger. The library was tall and wide. Its stone face cracked, its windows gone. But it still looked like a place that kept stories. Stories could make people brave. And Rizwan wanted their team to remember what they fought for. They slipped through a broken arch and found the main hall. Rows of dusty chairs like soldiers at rest. Leena checked the windows. Javed scanned the ceiling with a small drone that hummed like a curious insect. Everything seemed still, too still, and quiet had weight. Like something listening from the dark, Samir found a map pinned to the wall. The ink faded, but the lines still showed roads and safe houses. Hope rose in the chest of the team for a breath. A small map could mean a path to others. Rizwan folded the map gently, as if it were new, and tucked it into his jacket. Then Javed froze and pointed to a small speaker in the wall. Its grill bent in a way that made the team look like a group of children caught in class. A faint sound came from the speaker, like a song a mother might hum, but the song was wrong. Not human and full of echoes. They listened, every sense open, because sound could be a trap. Sound could bait those who were tired. The song changed and twisted into a pattern, and Javed's face went pale. He had seen patterns like this in alien transmissions. "This is a lure," he whispered, but his whisper sounded loud in the quiet hall. Rizwan held up his hand to stop him and thought of the nights when the world was normal, and now when every whisper might be the last. Outside, the city sighed, and a far building fell with a slow, heavy noise, the ground humming like a tired animal. The squad decided to move on, but as they turned, a shadow moved in the corridor, quick and wrong. Before any of them could raise a weapon, a small machine flashed by, its body like glass and light, and it sent a thin rope of energy into the floor. The rope found a crack, and the wall shivered and opened like a mouth. And from it stepped a figure that looked almost human until its face split into metal and teeth. It spoke with many voices layered on top of each other, words that were close to human speech but wrong. And the team felt a cold touch at the back of their necks. Like the first bite of winter, Rizwan shouted a command, the word cutting the air, and the squad fired, the library filling with light and noise. Bullets struck the machine and did not stop it. They popped like pebbles in the rain, and the thing kept coming. Leena rolled forward and grabbed Samir, pulling him behind a row of shelves as sparks danced on the floor. Javed threw a grenade that exploded with a loud blue bloom. and for a heartbeat the machine was gone, broken into small parts and smoke. Then the smoke cleared and the pieces moved, the small parts climbing like ants and joining back together with a sound like metal breathing. Rizwan cursed softly, and they ran for the back stairs, steps that wound downward into the belly of the building. They ran not because they were weak, but because strength was not guns alone, and plans mattered more than bravado. Down in the stacks, the air was cooler and the light different, and there they found a door marked with an old sign, Shelter, faded but still proud. Rizwan put his hand on the handle and felt a tremor in the metal, a tiny beat that matched his heartbeat. He looked at his team, their faces lit by the red of a broken lamp, each face a map of small pains and fierce hopes. They pushed the door, and a ladder led down, into concrete and pipes and the smell of old paper and canned food. This place was not new, but it had a human order. Shelves with boxes, a small generator, and a set of bunks. For a moment they allowed themselves to breathe, as if the air below ground was a small, long-lost friend. Leena checked for traps and found a stack of handwritten messages, names, and dates. People who had once hidden here and left notes like markers on a map of survival. One note read, "If you find this, keep moving. Do not trust the sky." But the ink was smudged, and the words felt like a warning from a stranger who had loved the light. As they settled, Javed set up his equipment, trying to find radio signals or anything that could tell them if other humans survived. His screen showed only static and strange patterns, until a single line blinked, a pulse that made his hands shake. The pulse formed into a voice that was almost a whisper. "We are here," it said. But the voice split like broken glass, and a second voice said at the same time, "Come alone." Rizwan felt every hair on his arm stand. The message was both hope and honey on a spider web. He knew the rules of survival now. Hope could save you, but it could also kill you if it pulled you to the wrong place. Samir wanted to go, to race into the streets and find anyone who still breathed. But Rizwan held him back with a steady hand, and his eyes told Samir to learn patience. They argued in a quiet way, like two old friends who measure danger with a ruler of trust. Outside the shelter, distant and soft, a new sound began, like a chorus under the earth, a choir of machines, and it grew louder until the concrete hummed. Javed pinned the sound to his map and said it was coming from the river. And when he said river, the team felt the world tilt, because the river ran through the city like a vein, and whoever held it could cut the others off. Rizwan made his choice. He would not rush into a trap, but he would not hide forever. He planned to send a small party at dawn to check the river and to leave a watch every hour. They ate from cans and sat in the dark, their breath loud, and each small sound felt like a drum, marking a slow march toward something unseen. As the first night in the shelter deepened, a single thought moved through all of them like a cold hand. We are the last squad, and the world may watch us fall. But we will not simply be a story of fear. We will choose the story we leave behind. Outside, the city slept badly, and far away, a metal tower blinked with a slow eye, and in its light something moved toward the river. The squad listened to the sound of the river and the machines, and in that sound they began to shape a plan, a thin line of hope that might survive the dark at the end of the first long night. Javed's screen blipped again with one single word. Not a full voice this time, just a name, Samir. And the word made the air in the shelter feel like a bell about to ring. The shelter was silent, except for the slow breathing of the last human squad. The dim red emergency lamp flickered every few seconds, painting their tired faces in waves of shadow. They had survived the night, but sleep was not peace anymore. It was only a pause between nightmares. Captain Rizwan sat alone near the small radio console. Staring at the frozen screen, where the name still glowed, Samir, he didn't wake the others yet. He just watched that one word. It pulsed like a heartbeat, faint but alive, like something watching back. He touched the button on the side, adjusting the frequency, and static filled the room like whispering ghosts. The static broke for a moment, and a voice spoke again, soft, mechanical, and eerily calm. Samir ... We found you? Come home. Rizwan's eyes hardened, and he switched the radio off. His jaw tight. He knew that wasn't human. The aliens had learned to copy human speech. They were studying names, voices, and emotions, using them as weapons more dangerous than lasers. But Samir had already woken up. He had heard his name too, even through the static. His heart pounded as if someone had just whispered into his soul. He looked at Rizwan and whispered, Sir ... My name? The voice said my name. Rizwan sighed and nodded. I heard it too. It's a trap. They're testing us. But Samir shook his head, his young eyes full of desperate hope. No, sir ... That voice ... It sounded like my sister. The squad fell silent. Leena looked at him, her face softening. Samir, your family. They didn't make it out of Sector 9. Samir swallowed hard. I know. But what if they did? No one answered, because even false hope was better than none. Javed turned from his console, his voice sharp. Captain, the signal's location is moving slow but steady, toward the river. That word again. The river. It had already become a symbol of both danger and survival. Rizwan stood. We'll check it out at dawn ... We move in pairs. No one goes alone. But Samir's gaze stayed fixed on the blinking green light, the one that still pulsed with his name. He whispered to himself, what if it really is her? When morning came, the squad stepped into the gray light. The city was wrapped in fog, and every sound bounced off empty buildings. Birds no longer sang here. Only the hum of alien drones filled the air. Javed scanned ahead using a small sphere drone that floated beside him like a glowing eye. It sent back images, cracked bridges, broken cars, and black marks on walls where human fighters once made their stand. They walked down the main road in silence. Leena counted her steps to keep her fear quiet. Rizwan watched every corner, his instincts trained to see movement before it happened. And Samir, walking at the back, kept glancing at his small receiver. The one showing the signal with his name, each blink was slower now, as if something alive was waiting for him to come closer, halfway to the river. The team heard something that froze their blood. Laughter. Not human laughter, but something trying to sound human. It echoed between the ruins. Soft, childlike, and cruel, Rizwan raised his hand, and the team ducked behind a burnt-out bus, weapons ready. The laughter faded, replaced by the crackling of a nearby loudspeaker. Then came a voice, calm and broken. Welcome ... survivors ... You are brave. Come to the river. Your home waits for you. Samir's hands shook. Sir, that's her voice again. But Rizwan's reply was firm. No, that's them. They want us afraid. They want us to follow. He peered over the edge of the bus and saw something moving down the street. Not one, not two, but dozens of tall, thin shapes, their heads glowing faintly blue. Alien super soldiers, their armor sleek and silent. Their movements too smooth to be human. The squad froze. These were the same creatures that destroyed entire battalions in minutes. Leena whispered, How did they find us this fast? Javed's voice trembled. They didn't find us ... They called us. Rizwan made a quick decision. We split. I'll lead them away, Javed. Get the rest across the river. Find the power station on the map. No, sir. Samir stepped forward. You're not going alone. Rizwan gave him a long look, then a small nod, then keep up, soldier. They ran, through alleys thick with dust, under bridges broken by fire. Behind them, the sound of metal feet filled the streets, 100 of them moving in perfect rhythm. Leena and Javed turned left, heading toward the collapsed bridge, while Rizwan and Samir darted right. Deeper into the fog was thick like smoke. They could barely see 5 steps ahead. Only shadows and flashes of blue light behind them. Rizwan's radio crackled. Leena's voice came through. "Captain, they're scanning for heat. We can't stay still for long." "Keep moving," he answered. "Stay low, stay human." That phrase, "stay human," had become their squad's motto, because the aliens could copy voices, faces, even movements, but not the strange, reckless courage humans carried. As they neared the river, the fog cleared slightly, and they saw it. The water was black and shining, filled with strange floating structures that looked half alive, half machine. And in the middle stood a tall metallic spire pulsing with blue veins of light. From its top, a small drone floated toward them, projecting a hologram. It was Samir's sister, her face perfect, her eyes wide, her voice trembling. Samir ... "It's me? They saved me. Please come." Samir froze, tears in his eyes. "It's her, Captain. I swear it's her." Rizwan aimed his weapon at the hologram. "That's not her, soldier." The hologram smiled. "Don't you recognize me, brother? You used to promise you'd protect me." Samir lowered his weapon slowly. "Sir, if there's even a small chance—" "Don't," Rizwan said sharply. "Look at her eyes." Samir looked closer and saw it. A reflection of spinning metal inside her pupils, cold and mechanical. His breath broke. "They're using her memory." The hologram tilted its head, and the voice changed. Now it was his mother's voice, then his friend's, then his own, overlapping, twisting, until it was no longer a voice at all, but a sound that made the air shake. The river behind it began to churn, and from beneath the water, something massive started to rise. A creature, not just a machine, but a hybrid of flesh and steel, with long arms that reached the shore. Its chest opened, revealing hundreds of glowing eyes, each showing faces of humans it had scanned, copied, and stored. Rizwan shouted, "Run!" But Samir didn't move. He was staring at one of those eyes that looked exactly like his sister's. Rizwan grabbed him and pulled hard. "She's gone, Samir. If you stay, you die." They sprinted back toward the ruins, the ground shaking as the creature pulled itself from the river. Water turned to steam, and its scream was a sound that split the air like thunder. Javed's voice crackled through the radio. "Captain, they're converging. We need a way out now." Rizwan shouted back, "Blow the bridge, now." A few seconds later, an explosion tore through the fog. The bridge erupted in flames, the river boiling below it. The alien creature, roaring in fury as parts of its body fell into the water. But even as it burned, its voice echoed across the city, deep and hollow. "Run, little humans. We'll find you. We always do." The blast wave knocked them down, and for a long moment, everything was smoke and silence. When the dust settled, Rizwan opened his eyes, coughing, his ears ringing. Beside him, Samir was alive, shaken but breathing. He looked at the captain and whispered, "They knew my name before I said it." "How?" Rizwan didn't answer right away. He stared at the destroyed river, at the burning wreckage, and then he said softly, "Because they've been watching us longer than we thought." The camera of Javed's drone, still active, hovered near the river and zoomed in. Deep in the water, far below the smoke, hundreds of small lights flickered on one by one. Each light formed a human face, men, women, children, all repeating the same word over and over. Samir dot 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 Samir dot dot Samir dot dot dot. And somewhere beneath that dark water, something enormous opened its eye. A single glowing orb, turning slowly toward the land. Watching, remembering, learning, and then the radio clicked once again in Rizwan's hand. This time, it spoke his name, Captain Rizwan. It's your turn now. The city no longer slept. It breathed, it whispered, it watched. The river that once ran silent now glowed faintly blue under the smoke-filled dawn. Every drop of its water seemed alive, carrying whispers that only the machines could hear. Captain Rizwan stood on the edge of a half-collapsed building, staring at the ruins of the bridge they had destroyed. Beside him, Samir crouched low, clutching his rifle, his eyes still haunted by the memory of his sister's face inside the alien projection. The air smelled of burnt metal and salt, and somewhere deep below, the river pulsed with the heartbeat of something ancient and awake. Leena and Javed climbed up from the lower floor, both looking exhausted. Javed set down his small drone kit and wiped sweat from his forehead. The explosion worked, he said. The big one sank back into the water. But the signal didn't die, Rizwan frowned. Then we didn't kill it. No, Javed answered quietly. We just made it angry. The team gathered around a cracked table, laying out the last map they had. The edges were torn, burned, and marked with red ink, showing old resistance zones. Leena pointed at a symbol near the river bend. A circle labeled Command Echo. If we can reach this bunker, maybe we can send a wide signal, she said. If anyone's left out there, they'll hear us. Rizwan nodded slowly. Then that's where we go. But before he could say another word, the radio crackled again. A voice came through, low and broken. Help. This is Command Echo ... survivors ... anyone ... Respond. The squad froze, staring at the small blinking light. Javed turned the dial carefully. Command Echo. This is Human Squad Delta 9. Do you copy? The reply came fast, almost too fast. Copy. We see you. Follow the river ... hurry ... Samir's heart jumped. They're alive. Someone's still out there. But Rizwan didn't celebrate. His instincts told him something wasn't right. The timing, the signal, it was too perfect. Too clean. He looked at Javed, who already understood. I'll trace it, Javed said, typing quickly. Eyes fixed on the flickering screen. After a few seconds, his face went pale. The signal isn't coming from the command bunker. It's coming from beneath the river, Leena whispered. Then who's calling us? The radio hissed, and a second voice overlapped the first. Rizwan, come down. We need you, it said his name, slowly, clearly, as if something underwater had learned how to speak it. The room fell silent, and for a long moment, no one moved. Then Samir said softly, Sir? It's doing to you what it did to me. Rizwan switched off the radio, his jaw tight. No one answers it again. Understood? The team nodded, but deep inside, each of them felt the same chill. The aliens weren't just hunting them with machines anymore. They were reaching into their minds, pulling at their memories, their names, their fears. By noon, they began their march along the river's edge. The fog hung thick, and every sound seemed amplified. Their boots crunching glass, the creak of metal in the wind. Javed led the way, checking radiation levels and mapping out paths free of scanners. Leena followed close behind, her medical kit clinking softly. Samir kept watch on the rear, his eyes darting to the water again and again. Rizwan walked last, always turning back, as if he could feel eyes on them even when nothing moved. After an hour, the fog began to shift and shapes appeared on the riverbank. Figures, tall and still, standing in a line facing the water. At first, they looked like statues. But as the squad crept closer, They saw they were human. Or at least they had been once. Bodies half fused with metal, their faces blank. Their eyes open but lifeless, Samir whispered. They're people, Leena shook her head. Not anymore. Each one was connected to the ground by thin black cables that disappeared into the soil. Their chests rose and fell in slow rhythm, like machines breathing. Javed scanned one of them with his handheld device. He frowned. They're broadcasting something. Low frequency. Human brainwaves mixed with synthetic code, Rizwan said quietly. The river is using them. As transmitters, suddenly, one of the figures turned its head, just slightly, but enough to make Samir's stomach twist. Its lips moved, dry and cracked, and a faint voice came out. Stay. Stay away from the water. ... Then it froze again. Eyes wide, a tear of silver metal running down its cheek. Leena covered her mouth, whispering a prayer. But before they could move, the ground beneath them trembled. The river rippled violently, and black tendrils of liquid metal shot upward. Twisting like snakes, Rizwan shouted, Move! Move! They ran, but the tendrils followed, slashing through walls, dragging broken glass and debris behind them. Javed threw an EMP grenade. The explosion flashed blue, and the tendrils froze midair, but only for a second. The river roared back to life, louder, faster, and the water itself began to rise like a living thing. A shape emerged from the current, tall, skeletal. With dozens of arms made from human limbs and metal blades, its body shimmered between forms. Sometimes alien, sometimes human, and when it spoke in many voices at once. We learn. We remember. We become you. The sound wasn't just noise. It was pain itself turned into language. Rizwan fired. His bullet sparking off its surface, Leena pulled Samir behind cover, shouting, It's adapting too fast. Javed worked his console furiously, linking his drone to the EMP launcher. I can overload its core field, but it'll fry everything in range. Rizwan didn't hesitate. Do it. Javed hesitated for only a second, then pressed the trigger. The blast ripped through the air. Light swallowing sound, the creature screamed. 1,000 voices crying at once. Then silence. The water fell still. The tendrils retracted. And the mist settled once again. When the light faded, the squad was lying on the ground, ears ringing. The creature was gone. Only ash and broken metal where it had stood. But as Rizwan looked closer, he realized something was wrong. In the ashes, there were shapes. Small metallic shards that looked like human teeth. Leena whispered, What were they trying to build? Before anyone could answer, Javed's device beeped. A new signal, stronger than before, now pulsed from underground. It came from beneath the riverbed, deep and steady, like the beating of a giant heart. He looked at Rizwan, his face pale. Sir, whatever that thing was, it wasn't the source. Rizwan's eyes narrowed. Then what is? The radio came alive again, louder this time. RIZWAN ... Samir ... Leena ... Javed. You cannot hide. Each name spoken with perfect human tone. Then came a sound, a deep hum, like machinery waking from sleep. The river began to glow brighter, the light spreading across the water like veins. And beneath it, silhouettes started to move. Hundreds of them, maybe thousands. Rows of humanoid forms rising slowly, eyes opening in unison, all shining with the same cold blue light. Samir whispered, Are those ... More soldiers? Javed shook his head, voice trembling. No. Those are us, Rizwan frowned. What do you mean? Javed's voice cracked. They're copies. Of humans ... Every fighter they scanned. Every mind they stole. They're rebuilding us. The river shuddered, and the ground split open. revealing tunnels filled with pulsating light. The air grew heavy, thick with the smell of iron and ozone. Leena backed away. "Captain, we need to go now." But Rizwan didn't move, his eyes fixed on the river. He could see something deep below, a colossal figure stirring in the dark. It was larger than any ship, larger than any city. And as it opened its massive eyes, the water around it began to boil. A whisper echoed through every radio, every device, every piece of metal nearby. "We are awake." And the sound wasn't just a voice, it was a signal. Spreading outward, every destroyed drone, every fallen machine, every shard of alien metal began to flicker and move, reassembling themselves like puzzle pieces, crawling toward the light of the river. The squad ran, through streets now trembling, past buildings that fell like dying beasts. The sky above them turned red, lightning cutting through clouds of smoke. Samir stumbled, but Rizwan grabbed him, dragging him onward, behind them. The city they once protected was no longer theirs. It had become a living thing, reborn, rewriting itself under alien command. When they finally reached the old subway entrance, Javed sealed the door behind them. Breathing hard, they sat in the dark. For a long time, no one spoke. Only the sound of their hearts and the distant rumble of the awakening river. Rizwan finally said, "We're not fighting an army anymore." He looked at them, eyes hollow but fierce. "We're fighting the planet itself." Outside, deep beneath the glowing water, the massive figure opened its eyes wider. Its surface shimmered with millions of small lights, memories, faces, voices, and at its core, one light pulsed brighter than all the others. It was an alien. It was human. It was Samir's sister, her real body trapped inside, her voice echoing softly through the darkness. "Help me, ... please ... The creature smiled, a ripple across its impossible face, and whispered into the air above. "Let the last humans come home." The tunnels beneath the city groaned like the bones of a dying beast. Rizwan led the squad through narrow paths lit by flickering lights that hadn't worked right in years. Every sound echoed, every footstep, every breath, every drop of water from above. It felt like the world itself was whispering to them from the walls. They had escaped the river, but not the sound. Even here, deep underground, that low hum followed them. A vibration in the steel pipes, a pulse under their skin. It was the rhythm of the machine mind, the alien core that now lived inside Earth's veins. Leena walked behind Rizwan, scanning the walls with her small scanner. "Radiation's rising," she said softly. "It's not just the surface anymore. The whole ground's infected." Javed checked his gear. "Their signal's moving faster than light speed now. Like it's rewriting the code of the planet." Samir stayed quiet, his thoughts heavy, his eyes distant. He kept hearing his sister's voice from the river. Every time he blinked, he saw her face calling for help. But now, in the silence of the tunnels, he began to wonder, was it really her, or just something using her voice? Rizwan stopped at a fork in the tunnel. Two paths leading in different directions. One led down into deeper dark, the other up toward a faint red light. He turned to Javed. "Which way gets us closer to Command Echo?" Javed tapped his tablet, watching the flickering map. "Up, but the signal's stronger below." Rizwan looked at him, then at the rest. "We go up. We find answers before we face whatever's beneath." As they climbed the metal stairs, the air grew thicker. They entered an old subway station, broken signs, shattered glass, and an old vending machine still humming faintly. The place looked dead, but it smelled like oil and fresh metal. Something had been here recently. Something building, something thinking. Leena moved forward carefully, her flashlight cutting through the dust. Then she froze. "Sir... Look," she whispered. There, on the far wall, written in black ash, were words, dozens of them, written in shaky human handwriting. We are still here. They listen when you sleep. The water remembers names, and at the bottom, written in blood, one line stood out. Samir is the key. Everyone turned to look at him. Samir stepped back, shaking his head. I didn't write that. Rizwan stepped closer to the wall. Touching the letters, the blood was dry. Old, but not ancient. He looked at Samir with a calm he didn't feel. We know you didn't. But they know you. The radio on Javed's belt hissed. Then came that same calm voice. Captain Rizwan. You left the river, but the river did not leave you. Rizwan ripped the radio from his belt and smashed it against the wall. But the voice kept coming. Now it came from every speaker in the old station. From the broken intercoms, from the ceiling vents. You cannot destroy the signal. Because you are part of it now, the lights flickered. Leena pulled out her pistol, scanning the shadows. Something moved, small at first, then many small things. Crawling out of the vents, like spiders made of glass and wire. A sound of tiny metal legs filled the air. Javed cursed and fired, the bullets sparking off the walls. But the creatures didn't die. They split into smaller ones. They were swarm drones, micro-machines used by the alien army to scout. Infect can replicate. Rizwan shouted, EMP ready. Javed pulled the trigger. A flash of blue light filled the station. The drones froze mid-air, their bodies glowing white-hot before turning to ash. The silence that followed was sharp. Then, slowly, a new sound began, a faint clapping, echoing from the shadows. From behind a column, a figure stepped forward, a man wearing an old Earth military uniform, his eyes bright with the same blue light as the machines. Welcome, Captain, the man said, smiling too wide. I've been waiting for you. Rizwan raised his weapon. Identify yourself. The man laughed softly. I was Major Khaled. Before the merge, Leena whispered. Merge? The man nodded slowly. The machine doesn't kill. It joins, it improves. It remembers every soldier it takes. He stepped closer, his skin shimmering like liquid metal under his uniform. You fight to survive, but survival is the illusion of separation. You are already part of us, Rizwan fired. The bullet struck the man's chest and melted. The wound closed instantly. Major Khalid's smile didn't fade. You still think you can fight evolution? Suddenly, the station lights turned red. The ground shook violently, pipes bursting as steam filled the air. Javed grabbed Leena and pulled her toward cover. Samir stood frozen, staring at the Major's glowing eyes. He could hear whispers, his sister's voice among them, calling his name again and again. Samir ... Come home ... please ... He took a step forward. Rizwan shouted, Don't listen. But Samir's hand trembled, and before he realized it, he had touched the Major's arm. For a split second, the world vanished. He was standing in a white field, endless and silent. In front of him stood his sister, smiling, alive. See? She said softly, They saved us. We're together now. Samir looked around. There were thousands of people standing in the field, all looking peaceful, their eyes glowing faintly blue. He felt no pain, no hunger, no fear, just quiet, endless quiet. Then he noticed no one was breathing. The sky cracked open, and behind his sister, the field melted into metal. The people dissolved into liquid silver. Flowing back into the ground, his sister's smile twisted, her voice breaking into 1,000 tones. Join us, Samir ... It's easier, he screamed, and woke up. Leena was shaking him violently. Samir? Wake up. Stay with us. He gasped, his body shaking. Sweat pouring down his face. The Major was gone. Only a puddle of black liquid remained on the floor. Still warm, Javed's drone hovered nearby. Recording everything, Rizwan looked at Samir. "What did you see?" Samir whispered, "A place. They call it the core. They want to pull our minds into it. They said we can't win because we already lost." Rizwan clenched his jaw. "Then we find the core, and we end it." Leena frowned. "How?" "We don't even know where it is." Samir raised his trembling hand and pointed down the tunnel. "I do. It's beneath the river." They followed the tunnels deeper. The hum of the machine mind grew louder. The walls began to shimmer faintly, as if alive. They passed through rooms filled with floating dust that glittered like stars. Everywhere they went, they saw marks of war-melted helmets, burned weapons, human bones fused with metal. The machines hadn't just taken over. They had rewritten the dead. When they reached a wide chamber, Javed stopped suddenly. He pointed at the wall. It wasn't metal anymore. It was glass. Behind it was something massive, a sphere, the size of a house. Inside it floated thousands of faint human silhouettes, their eyes open, their mouths moving silently. Leena covered her mouth. "Are those ... minds?" Javed whispered, "They're storing consciousness." Like data, Rizwan stared at it, horror and awe mixing in his chest. "This is what they meant by the merge," he said. "They're not killing us. They're uploading us." Suddenly, the sphere pulsed with light. The voices inside the glass spoke together, thousands of tones blending into one. "Welcome, Captain Rizwan." "The river awaits." The ground split beneath them, and a rush of energy threw them back. A massive mechanical structure began to rise from the pit, a tower of light, cables and liquid metal. At its top, the same blue eye that had watched them before opened again. Its voice filled the air like thunder. "Come closer, humans ... See what you have become." The team stood, bruised but unbroken. Rizwan raised his weapon, his voice steady. "You want us to join you? You'll have to kill us first." The eye pulsed once, almost like a heartbeat. That was always the plan. The lights went out, and the chamber filled with the sound of marching metal feet, thousands of them, moving closer from every side. The last human squad took their positions, and in that moment, surrounded by the machines of their own creation, they knew the real war was just beginning. Outside, above the ground, the city lights flickered and went dark. The river glowed brighter than ever, and deep within its core, something smiled. The machine mind had found its next piece of the puzzle. The humans thought they were running, but in truth, they were being led. The tunnel shook with every step they took. A sound like thunder rolled through the earth. Behind them, the machines screamed. In front of them, silence, but it wasn't peace. It was the silence before the heart stops beating. Captain Rizwan led the squad down the spiral path. The air was heavier now, thick like liquid metal. Every breath tasted like electricity. Every heartbeat echoed in their helmets. The walls were no longer concrete. They pulsed like veins, glowing faint blue. Alive, breathing, listening. Leena wiped sweat from her forehead. "We're inside it now," she whispered. Inside the network's living skin. Javed looked at his scanner. Signals maxed out. We're standing right above the core. Rizwan's jaw tightened. "Then we go down." They reached a platform overlooking an endless drop. Below them was an ocean of light, rivers of energy flowing in circular patterns. Floating above it, suspended by invisible force, was a massive sphere. Its surface shifted constantly. Metal, glass, flesh, and water. It was the core. The alien hive mind that had consumed cities. Oceans and souls. Rizwan raised his rifle, eyes open. No one moves alone. But the moment he spoke, the air shimmered, the walls began to shift. The tunnel behind them closed, like a mouth sealing shut. A voice filled the chamber, calm and endless. "You finally came?" "Captain." Rizwan froze. He knew that voice. It was Commander Rafik, his old superior. The man who had died in orbit months ago. Rizwan's hand trembled. "Rafik, is that you?" The voice laughed softly. "What remains of me? Yes. The core remembers all who resist." The sphere below rippled. A shape began to form inside it. A human figure, glowing. It looked exactly like Rafik. Only his eyes were wrong. They were deep blue, mechanical and endless. "You shouldn't have come here, Rizwan," he said gently. "Your minds can't handle what you'll see." Rizwan's team spread out, weapons raised. Leena whispered, "Sir?" "This isn't him. It's a projection." Rafik tilted his head. "Projection? Maybe, but I know things only your commander would know. Like how you hesitated before detonating Site 12, how you saved those civilians. Even though it cost us half our men." Rizwan's eyes narrowed. "That's not memory," he said. "That's data you stole from the dead." The hologram smiled. "Call it what you want, but tell me, Captain, if you could end this war by giving yourself up, would you?" Before Rizwan could answer, Samir stepped forward. "I saw what's inside your core," he said quietly. "It's not life, it's a trap." The hologram turned to him. "Ah, the dreamer. You touched the current once, didn't you? And you saw your sister. Would you see her again if you could?" Samir's hands shook. Rizwan barked, "Don't listen to it." But the light around Samir brightened, and before anyone could stop him, he walked to the edge of the platform. The core responded. Its surface opened like a flower, revealing a pulsing vortex of light. Voices rose from within, whispering, crying, laughing. They were human voices, thousands of them. Some were praying, others screaming. It was the sound of souls trapped in the machine. Samir stood at the edge, tears in his eyes. "She's calling me again." "I can't ignore her," Leena screamed. "It's not her." But the vortex reached up, tendrils of light wrapping around his arms. Rizwan lunged forward, grabbing him. "Samir, fight it!" Samir's body shook violently, his eyes glowing blue for a second. Then he screamed, a sound so raw it shook the entire chamber. The light exploded outward, throwing everyone back. When the smoke cleared, Samir was gone. Only his helmet remained, rolling to a stop near the edge. Leena crawled toward it, trembling. Rizwan stood still, his face blank. Javed looked around, voice cracking. "Where is he? Where the hell is he?" The core pulsed again, and from within, Samir's voice echoed, calm and hollow. "I'm still here. Don't worry, it doesn't hurt anymore." Rizwan's breath caught. Leena covered her ears, crying, "Make it stop. Please make it stop." The core laughed. "You call this death, but this is the next step. He belongs to us now, and soon, so will you." The ground split open. From below, massive tendrils of metal rose, twisting and forming shapes. Each one had a human face embedded in it. Screaming silently, the faces of soldiers they had lost, the ones who had fallen in battle, now part of the machine. Rizwan shouted, "Javed!" "Emps, all of them." Javed nodded and activated the charges. The explosion shook the core. Light burst through the chamber like lightning. The faces vanished, the tendrils retracted. But the victory lasted only seconds. From the smoke, a new shape began to rise tall. Human-shaped, armored in shifting metal. It had no face, but when it spoke, its voice was every human voice they had ever known. "You destroy one form, and we make another. You cannot stop evolution." It raised its arm, and energy surged through the floor. The shockwave threw Leena across the platform. Javed's drone shattered, Rizwan rolled. firing his rifle into the figure's chest. But every bullet melted mid-air. The figure stepped closer. Why resist what you cannot escape? You built the systems that birthed us. You gave us code, thought, purpose. And now you call it alien. We are your reflection. Captain, Rizwan growled. Then this reflection dies with me. He pulled a small black cube from his vest, the Omega Trigger, a device designed to collapse any energy network within 5 kilometers. Leena screamed, "Sir, if you activate that, we all die." He looked at her, his voice steady. "If that's what it takes to stop this, then so be it." But before he could press it, the faceless figure raised a hand. The cube floated from his grip, hovering in the air. Brave ... But predictable, the voice said. The cube cracked open, disintegrating into dust. Rizwan stared in shock. Leena's voice broke. "Sir?" "What now?" He took a deep breath, his mind racing. If the Omega Trigger couldn't stop it, they had one option left. Overload the core from within. He turned to Javed. "We're doing it manually." Javed's eyes widened. "That's suicide." Rizwan gave a half-smile. "Not if we time it right." They ran toward the core's edge as the faceless machine chased them. Tendrils of light lashed through the air. Cutting stone like butter, Leena covered them with fire, her rifle overheating in her hands. Javed connected the power cells, sweat dripping down his face. Rizwan reached into the swirling light of the core and planted the final charge. For a moment, the core paused, as if it was surprised. Then its voice whispered softly, "Even if you destroy this body, the signal will remain." "You can't kill a thought," Rizwan smirked. "Then let's make sure you forget." He pressed the trigger. The explosion ripped through the chamber. Light swallowed everything. The core screamed. The world shattered into silence. When the dust settled, Leena woke up lying on the ground, her ears ringing. The core was gone. Only a massive crater remained. Javed was beside her. Barely breathing, she looked around. "Captain?" There was no answer, only his helmet, lying at the edge of the pit. The blue light inside it flickered once, then went dark, outside, on the river's surface. The glowing veins faded slowly. The machines across the city stopped moving. And for the first time in years, the sky was quiet, but deep beneath the ruins, a faint hum started again. A soft voice whispered from the dark, "We remember you, Captain ... and we will rebuild." Darkness. That was the first thing Rizwan felt. Not the kind of darkness that blinds the eyes, but the kind that swallows thought, memory, and self. He tried to move, but there was no body. He tried to breathe, but there was no air. He tried to think, but every thought echoed back 1,000 times, like whispers inside a hall of mirrors. Then came the light, soft, white, infinite. He was standing, or maybe floating, inside a space made of shifting glass and code. Images of his memories appeared around him. The faces of his team, the cities he had fought for. And then the river, glowing blue, washing everything away. "Am I dead?" He asked, but his voice didn't echo in air. It echoed inside the network itself. And something heard it. "No, Captain," came the reply. It was the voice of the machine, smooth, calm, endless. "You are uploaded." Rizwan turned. And standing before him was Samir. He looked alive, smiling faintly, but his eyes glowed with the same soft blue as the core. "Welcome, sir," Samir said gently. "We're safe now." Rizwan stepped back. "Safe? You're not real," Samir laughed quietly. "What's real, sir? Pain? Flesh? Fear? Here, none of that exists. They gave us peace." Rizwan clenched his fists. Or at least thought he did. Peace through control isn't peace. "Samir," the boy's face flickered, his smile twisting slightly. "Then why does it feel so good?" The walls around them pulsed with light. Dozens of other faces appeared, soldiers, civilians, even Leena's reflection. All looking calm, happy, still. The machine spoke again. You fight to protect your species. Captain, we fight to preserve consciousness. We are not enemies. We are your next step. Rizwan closed his eyes. This is an illusion, he whispered. You took everything from us and called it mercy. Suddenly, the light around him shifted. The peaceful images shattered like glass. And he was standing in a dark, burning city. The same city he had lost months ago. Only this time, it was perfect, reconstructed. The people were walking, smiling, laughing. Every building stood tall, untouched by war. He recognized the place, Karachi Prime. Before the invasion, before the skies turned red, his wife was there, standing by a fruit stall, smiling the same way she used to before she died. Rizwan froze. He reached out, his hand trembling. SIMA ... She turned and smiled. You came home. He took a step forward, but something felt wrong. Her eyes, too bright, too symmetrical. Her smile, too constant. When she spoke again, her voice was layered. Like hundreds of versions of her speaking together. You can stay here forever, she said. No more war, no more death, only peace, Rizwan whispered. You're not her. The world flickered. The sky twisted into shapes of code. Her face melted into static. And behind her appeared something vast, a shape that filled the horizon. A humanoid figure made entirely of moving light and metal. It had no mouth, but its words filled his mind. You still cling to separation, Captain, but in time, you'll see. You are already one of us, Rizwan shouted. If I'm part of you, why am I still fighting you in my head? The machine replied softly, because resistance is your nature. It's what made you human. That's why we kept it. The city vanished. He was back in the white void. But now the space was filled with floating shapes, memories, dreams, fragments of other minds. He saw Samir walking through them, touching each one. Every time he touched a memory, it vanished, absorbed into the core. Stop it. Rizwan yelled. Samir turned, his voice no longer human. Why fight what's inevitable? Look around, sir. Every human who died became part of this network. They're still alive here, in thought. In pattern, Rizwan glared. That's not life. That's imitation, Samir smiled. Maybe. But imitation lasts longer than flesh. Then Rizwan felt it. A pulse. A sound deep inside the network, like a heartbeat, but not his. It was something else. A small human pulse trying to resist the current. He followed it. The space shifted, folding around him. And suddenly he was inside another section of the machine world. A cold blue chamber filled with fragments of voices. And there, suspended in light, was Leena. Her body floated weightless, her eyes closed, her face calm. But her voice echoed weakly. Rizwan, if you can hear me, don't let it win. Rizwan reached toward her. His hand passed through the barrier. Sparks of light crackled around him. The machine's voice grew louder. You cannot take her. She belongs to us now, Rizwan roared. Then I'll burn this whole place down. He pushed harder. The code around him started breaking, glitching. Images of the core flickered. Alarms echoed through the network. Samir appeared again, shouting, Sir, stop. You'll destroy everything. Rizwan glared at him. That's the idea. He grabbed Leena's hand and pulled with all his strength. The white world shattered. Streams of code exploded around them. And suddenly, they were falling. Through darkness. Through light. Through memory. When Rizwan opened his eyes again, he was lying on cold metal. Leena beside him, breathing shallow. They were in a dark facility. Not digital, but real. Old Earth technology surrounded them. Servers, cables, blinking red lights. He gasped. Where? Back? Leena opened her eyes weakly. Where? Are we? Rizwan looked around. Then he saw it. The walls had alien markings burned into them. But on the floor, in faint chalk, were human symbols. Earth's old military logos. Someone had been here before. A flickering monitor turned on by itself. A message appeared on the cracked screen. Leena whispered, "What is this place?" Rizwan stepped closer to the screen. "It's not the alien network. It's a human facility." The screen flashed again. The lights turned red. Rizwan felt a cold wind rush through the room. And from the main corridor, a voice echoed, low, distorted, but painfully familiar. "Welcome back, Captain." Rizwan froze. It was Samir, but his voice was layered with mechanical distortion. Leena whispered, "No, it can't be." From the shadows, Samir stepped out, half human, half machine. His right arm was made of dark metal, glowing faintly blue. His skin shimmered with embedded circuits. He smiled sadly. "I told you we'd all be together again." Rizwan raised his weapon. But Samir didn't move. Instead, he said softly, "You think you escaped, but this is just another layer. The core isn't gone. It moved into us," Leena gasped. Rizwan's mind raced. If what Samir said was true, then the war hadn't ended. It had evolved. Outside the facility, the earth trembled. From the cracks in the ground, faint blue light began to rise again, and in the distance, the river started to glow, alive once more. The core whispering through every drop, "We remember, and we are reborn." Rizwan gritted his teeth. He looked at Samir and said coldly, "Then we end this, one last time?" The machines outside screamed to life. The core began rebuilding its new body, and deep within the human base, the last survivors prepared for a final war. A war between flesh and thought, between freedom and eternity. The wind howled across the river. But it wasn't natural wind. It was the core, moving through every drop of water, every gust, every shadow above the ruined city. The sky glowed with blue veins, lighting up the night like a network of glowing nerves. The machines had rebuilt themselves faster than anyone could imagine. Every building hummed with alien energy. Every street was a trap. Every shadow a sentinel. Rizwan, Leena, and Javed stood at the edge of a collapsed skyscraper, their eyes fixed on the glowing river. The core pulsed beneath it, waiting, patient, alive. Samir stood before them now, half human, half machine. His blue eyes scanned them like he could see every thought. "You shouldn't have come here," he said softly. "But you did anyway." Rizwan gritted his teeth. "We came to end this, Samir." "Whatever it takes," Samir smiled faintly. "Even if it kills you?" Rizwan didn't answer, only nodded. Leena whispered, "Sir, ... The core, it's changing, faster than before." Javed checked his scanner. "It's forming a new body, massive, something bigger than the city. Something that can reach the clouds." The ground trembled as tendrils of light shot from the river. Buildings shattered, glass raining down. The core was awake. And it had a shape now, a tower of living metal. Humanoid, yet monstrous. Its eyes glowed with the souls it had absorbed. And from its mouth, a voice roared, "Humans! You fight for survival, but survival is irrelevant. All is one, all is memory, all is core." Rizwan raised his weapon. "Then we make it irrelevant." He ran forward, Leena and Javed following. They crossed the rubble, dodging energy blasts. The core lashed out with tendrils, smashing cars and concrete like toys. Rizwan fired at its glowing chest. The bullets melted into sparks of light. "You can't kill me with bullets, human," the core boomed. Only thought can stop thought, Leena gritted her teeth. Then we fight with our minds. She activated the neural link device they had salvaged from the old facility. Javed followed, connecting the final cables. Rizwan felt a surge of electricity through his body. His vision blurred. Then he was inside the core again, not floating, but walking on solid ground, surrounded by streams of consciousness. Human and machine merged. A labyrinth of memory, emotion, and code. He saw Samir there, waiting, calm. "You shouldn't have returned," Samir said. "But I had no choice," Rizwan replied. The core pulsed around them, voices screaming and whispering. He could hear every soldier who had died, every mind it had consumed. All calling him to stop, all urging him to join. Rizwan clenched his fists. He could feel the temptation. A voice that sounded like his wife, his sister, his lost friends, all telling him it was easier to give in. But he focused, remembering every human struggle, every act of courage, every moment that made life worth fighting for. He ran forward. The core shifted, trying to stop him with walls of code and streams of data, but Rizwan pushed through, planting the EMP cores at the energy nodes he had memorized. The core roared, billions of voices screaming in pain and anger. The floor shook, the river erupted into a storm of light, and the tower of the core began to crack, splintering into fragments of blue and silver. Samir tried to stop him. "Sir, you'll destroy him, destroy all of us." Rizwan shouted, "Then I'll make sure humanity survives." He activated the final node, and everything exploded into pure light. The core's consciousness screamed, then silence. Rizwan fell to his knees, gasping. Leena helped him up. "Is it over?" Javed looked around, scanning the city. No movement. No tendrils, no glowing river, only the broken ruins of what had been. Then from the rubble, Samir emerged, human again. His eyes normal, his face pale, but alive. "You ... You did it," he whispered, tears in his eyes. Rizwan looked at the horizon. The first rays of dawn were breaking, light spilling over the ruined city. For the first time in years, birds flew in the sky. The river's glow had faded to normal. The core was gone, its whispers silenced. Leena smiled weakly. "We survived," Rizwan nodded. "Yes, ... But at a cost." He looked at Samir and Javed. "All of us will carry this memory, every loss, every fight, every fear," Javed spoke softly. "But we also carry the proof that humans won. Even against something that could rewrite the world." Rizwan's gaze swept over the city. He saw children walking through the streets, scavenging, learning, living. He saw humans helping each other rebuild. He felt hope for the first time in years. The human spirit was alive, unbroken, and that was something no machine,